Welcome back to another episode of Touring the AFC South. I am your host, Mike Patton. And on this episode, it's going to be Texans talk. Yes, those Houston Texans. Those Houston Texans that beat up on the Cleveland Browns. Hey, I'm not going to get too much into it right now, but I had to bring on someone that actually is down there, boots to the ground in Houston, Texas. Someone that knows a lot about this team, from the bad parts to the parts where they used to be. The stadium used to be called by me the big trash can, but now I will say that it is definitely it's definitely Friday Night Lights every time they play. Now they don't play on Fridays, y'all, but Friday Night Lights, for those in Texas, they know exactly what I'm talking about. But
exactly,
had to bring on from the lunch break, Mr. AJ Jones. What's going on, man?
Hey man, it's always a pleasure to be on touring the AFC South and hanging out with my brother Mike Patton, the General. Man, you doing okay?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Doing great. Doing great. Now, before we get started, of course, with the whole Texans theme, we do have the Get It Off Your Chest segment, and we're going to talk about the other team in the state of Texas, along with another team up north in the state of Pennsylvania. That would be, if you haven't figured that out, the Dallas Cowboys and the Philadelphia Eagles. Now, both of these teams represent the NFC East in the playoffs, but they didn't really represent very well. They both got beat down. One got beat down by the youngest team in the NFL, basically made the playoffs, the last seed, and they came in their hometown, took out their shoes, opened the refrigerator, took all the drinks, ate all the food, put their feet on the table, and did like Rick James and said, "Have your couch." So basically, they put up 40-plus points on the Cowboys and owned their home. And it was just, that was a bad one. Then add on top of that, the Eagles, they haven't been the same since the San Francisco 49ers came into their stadium and put up 40-plus points. And they let the Tampa Bay Bucks, led by Baker Mayfield,
Don't say that part.
Dominate them.
Don't do that to us, man.
It happened, and the Eagles couldn't tackle. They really couldn't get going offensively. Julio Jones got knocked out this game, by the way, with a concussion. They were trying to use him like he was their number one weapon, and at this point, Julio's not that guy. But it is what it is, and now the NFC East is sitting at home, and it just was. It wasn't a very good showing for two teams that people thought could go deep in the playoffs. About halfway, a little over halfway through the season. I mean, you got to show better than that. And then we see Mike McCarthy, for those that had questions, is going to be coming back for another year on the last year of his contract. Now, this isn't something that is new to Jerry Jones. He did this with Jason Garrett as well, and we saw Jason Garrett not come back too. So, it could potentially be where he doesn't come back. However, we don't know. We don't know what can happen because it is Jerry, and Jerry can, be thinking one thing and just zag the whole other way. So, definitely had to talk about that. Just the disappointing performance of the NFC East. I mean, AJ, you got any thoughts on that one?
I do. So let's just be honest. For the first 10 games of the season, we believed in the Philadelphia Eagles. After that, they were suspect. Most folks felt like the Dallas Cowboys were suspect throughout the entire season, not playing major competition, not doing well against, playoff level teams. So I really feel like what we saw is what we saw. I can tell you firsthand, Jalen Hurts was not healthy. He'll never say that. His people around him will never say that. But I can tell you firsthand, he was not healthy and has not been healthy for several weeks. No excuse, though. They were suspect from week 11 on, and it showed. Hey, playoffs are not for the suspects. It's for the teams that come in, know how to tackle, because I said it. If you can't tackle, you don't deserve to win, and know how to show up in big moments. And unfortunately, they couldn't get that done.
Right. You notice all the teams that lost, they have a moment in time in every game where they were just terrible tackling. Not guys that actually put shoulder pads on people and tried to make a tackle, but guys that just whiffed. Like, for example, the Detroit Lions versus the Los Angeles Rams.
Yeah.
I'm watching that game and I'm like, okay, they're going to get in front of them and tackle them one day, right? Right? Nope, didn't happen. The Miami Dolphins and the Kansas City Chiefs, they're letting Patrick Mahomes run like he is Isaiah Pacheco through that defense. And I'm like, okay, did that defensive back just really olay trying to tackle Patrick Mahomes? But that's just a couple examples. But yeah, you can't tackle, you can't win. Just like you just really wanted to, touch on that one. It just was kind of really, really disappointing to watch that, but that's the Get It Off Your Chest segment for this episode. But we do have to transition over to a team that does know how to tackle, that does know how to play a little defense. That would be the Houston Texans. They went out there and they mollywopped the Cleveland Browns 45-14. Now, I have to say, before that game, I did have the Cleveland Browns losing that game to the Houston Texans. However, I did not see that type of beatdown coming. I mean, did you see that type of beatdown coming?
No, I mean, you're playing against the top defense in the entire NFL, and Myles Garrett doesn't often, play on a defense that looked like that. I mean, you take away the 2 pick sixes, they put up 31 points on the number 1 defense, whom they just lost to Christmas Eve. Now, mind you, there were several players that were missing, but no. And I'll say this: anybody that tells you that they saw 45-14 coming from Houston, they ain't telling the truth.
Either they're not telling the truth, or they should have played the lottery. One or two.
Well, look, ask me those numbers because we all need to come up.
Right. Now, of course, like you mentioned, the defense was spectacular. 2 pick sixes. Now, I did say before this game that all the defensive backs for Houston have to do is catch the football, because I knew Joe Flacco was going to give them chances. He not only gave them 1 chance, he gave them 2. So did you expect that defensive performance from the Houston Texans going into this one?
Yeah, I expected more pressure on Flacco than on Christmas Eve. And the reason being, Will Anderson Jr. did not play on Christmas Eve. And while he's not gotten the same kind of attention that C.J. Stroud as a rookie has received, he has been the steadying force on that defense all season long when healthy. So, when it starts up front, when you have an older quarterback who's not very mobile and you've got pressure coming from a Will Anderson Jr., who, like they used to say about J.J. Watt, has a motor that never quits, you're going to make him now do things that he's not comfortable doing. Joe Flacco is great when he's comfortable. When he's uncomfortable, whole different story. And as we see by his touchdown to turnover ratio, he'll throw it away. And they got pressure on him, and he did just that, fortunately, on consecutive plays, and it turned into 14 points for the defense.
Definitely. And now the defense did some scoring, but, we can't talk about the Texans and not talk about the offense, and primarily Mr. C.J. Stroud. He had 3 touchdown passes in the first half. The offense was explosive. I mean, against the Cleveland defense that many thought would give them problems. Like, for example, I did say this before this game, that C.J. Stroud does struggle against man-to-man defenses, which that was, the struggles there were kind of paramount talked about. But, however, in this game, didn't look like he struggled that much at all. So, how shocked were you kind of with this offensive explosion, just, and just the things that he did, despite people saying, hey, maybe you can't do this against this defense?
Yeah, I'll say again, I wasn't surprised because, number one, he didn't play in the Christmas Eve game. It was the battle of the backups, Case Keenum against Joe Flacco. And then number two, I heard I'll take it off of you. I heard one of the national shows talk about C.J. Stroud versus in man-to-man versus zone coverage. And I'm like, don't y'all realize that anytime y'all try to count this young man out in a given area, he's going to prove you wrong? I mean, literally, when I heard that, I was like, all right, he's going to eat them up when they're in man-to-man. Because if the talking heads are saying that, some defensive coordinator said, this is how we get and rattle C.J. Stroud. And all he did was pick them apart all game long. He was eating on man-to-man. They had to fall back into zone coverage just to try to slow down the train, and by then it was too late.
Yep, the trains were definitely on the track, and it was rolling, rolling, rolling. One player that actually was rolling, say defensively, that would be Christian Harris. Now, he has come along. A lot of people, don't talk about him. He's kind of the unheralded guy, but he's made an impact, in my opinion. I thought he would when he first was drafted there. And of course, the second-year linebacker out of Alabama. He had his own pick six, but he's done more than that. He's made plays sideline to sideline. How are you kind of how has he kind of shown you that he could potentially be the guy there? I know they talk about Blake Cashman, but I think Christian Harris is going to be actually the guy that kind of moved him forward at the linebacker position. What have you thought about his play this year?
I'll make you look back a little bit. Remember what DeMeco Ryans did in San Francisco with a guy that was kind of, but when DeMeco got his hands on him, now he's a household name. He's a Pro Bowl player. I see the same thing with Harris. I see the same thing. And you listen to him when he talks. He literally is repeating what DeMeco is telling him and them, and they are buying into it, man. They are buying into it. And think about that. He's learning the position from a guy that played it at one of the highest levels. DeMeco was that dude here in Houston. DeMeco was that dude in Philly. DeMeco was that dude as a coach in San Francisco. And now for this young man out of Alabama, Harris, to have a chance to study under and learn, you can tell, man, he's drinking all the Kool-Aid. He's eating the crackers. He's whatever is on the plate that DeMeco puts on, he's sucking it up, and it's paying off for him. And I'm real happy for him, man. This is a real good thing to see this young man develop into what he's become under the leadership of DeMeco Ryans.
It's amazing what a new coach and a coach that, of course, shares Alabama with you can do. All right,
yeah,
now
look, a coach and some players. That's a little slight at the general manager over here.
No, I'm not. We ain't even going. I ain't even going.
You don't do that. Let me do that.
All right, there you go. Now, as far as the tight ends, I will say they were very explosive in this game. And, I've been waiting for Brevin Jordan to kind of show the explosiveness that he's shown this year. I knew the ability was there, but he put on display on that 76-yard run the things that I liked about him. The ability to get open and run routes like a wide receiver. The ability to shrug off tacklers and the speed to leave defensive backs behind. And the 76-yard touchdown that he had. It was really, really great to watch. I watched it back maybe like 2 or 3 different times. Then flip on that one, you got Dalton Schultz, 37-yard touchdown right before halftime, and the explosive play in its own right as well. And what can you say about these two tight ends? I mean, you definitely have to game plan for these two tight ends. They can not only make the routine catches, but they can make you pay deep too.
Yeah, I got to give credit to Bobby Slowick. I got to give him credit because clearly he saw something in the tight ends play against Cleveland that would expose them. That Brevin Jordan pass was basically a 5 to 7 yard pass. The rest was grown man stuff because it wasn't a catch it 5 yards and then you're wide open, nobody's around you, you run it on in. He made some moves. He made people miss. And then he turned on the jets that a lot of folks didn't realize he had. And, man, it was good to see him do that, man. It was good to see him, have a chance to showcase who he really is for a team that has not really showcased tight ends. And what can you say about Schultz, man? He was basically a cast-off from the Cowboys. Thank you very much, Dallas. Very appreciative of your cast-off. And even, he started the game slow. He got off to a slow start in this particular game, but he kept his head in the game and he was available mentally, physically, and with a skill for them to use him and get the job done.
Definitely. They got the job done again, dominating the Cleveland Browns. Wow.
Yeah.
It was a dominating performance. And I know the city of Houston is hyped. Speaking of hype, we're going to take a quick commercial break. And on this commercial break, it's going to be a special one. It's going to be a music commercial break. I want you to take a listen to this song, hyping up the Houston Texans. We're going to play it in its entirety. It's about 3 minutes and change. Just going to give everyone a heads up. But it is a Houston Texans hype song. I'm going to let you see the credits. I'm going to let you get their name in the credits when it comes up. on Touring the AFC South with your host, Mike Patton. Here we go.
Welcome to Houston, Texas, where the Texans going live with Lil Kane on the track. Jay Xavier, dude, what up? We about to turn up. Turn up, come on. Yeah, I'm a Texan on pride. Yeah, come on. Yeah, let's see Jay Stroud. Smell like a remix, then it must be a remix. Haters can't believe it. Looking at the TV sick, cause that H-time defense all all season. Got CJ reading, every play like a genius. Fans steady screaming, every single game we bring it. Now tell me who your favorite team is. Texans, say it real loud for me. If your H-time ain't get wild for me. Show your jersey, wave a towel for me. Hold up, hold up, hold up, hold up, bring it back. Texans, yeah, I'm a Texan on pride. We be the definition of players that's wrecking. Quarterback left in, throw the rock, that's him. Certified blessed him, I'm on top like I'm Chef Tim. The can't no be locked in, who like I'm boxing. Official like a rep, with a whistle on 5-10. Who's in the city, we get it poppin' and swing hard. Turn up the stadium, get it rockin' like a old boy. Diamond be shining bright, big wheel Cadillac. Candy paint drippin' the road, yo gotta bring it back. NRG lit, I'm throwback like JJ Watt. Garrett Jones on the block, this man what I'm talking about. Yeah, I'm a Texan on pride. Football tumble, now the Texans got it back on a 60-yard tussle. When I'm losers in your mind, know your muscle, we go rhyme. Putting it down, got them boys on the hustle. Yeah, I'm a Texan on pride. Yeah, come on. Yeah, let's see Jay Stroud. John Legend, Steven Nelson, Blake Cashman, Mike Boone.
All right, and we are back. I hope you enjoyed that music break. A little Houston Texans pride in that song right there. What do you think, AJ?
I'm even more proud. Let me take you somewhere you didn't know. I knew that young man when he went by the name Little Jay Xavier. He's a little bit grown up now, so he done dropped the little. Now he's just Jay Xavier. Big shout out to him and his dad, man. Still putting out good stuff. I'm glad they found you and dropped that, man, because that was hot. That was hot.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure Texans fans they definitely would love Houston to kind of pick that up, but hey, we'll see what happens. But of course, I got you all hyped because it's a big game this weekend.
Yeah,
the Houston Texans and the Baltimore Ravens.
Bruh.
Boy, oh boy. CJ Stroud, he's got another challenge in front of him, and that would be the Baltimore Ravens defense. I mean, the last time we went against Baltimore Ravens is beginning of the season. I think it was like 24 or 25-9, 28-44, 242 yards. Did not throw a touchdown and also fumbled the football when he was sacked. So, of course, I know you expect a better performance this time. So what challenges do you see out there for him in terms of just this Ravens defense?
So I'm definitely not going to minimize the Ravens defense because, again, say what you want to say about John Harbaugh. He has done a great job with that team, offensively and defensively. I think that if CJ can be who he is now, because he's definitely not who he was back then, and that the weather conditions are not ridiculous like some of what we saw this past week, I think the Texans have a good chance to do what most folks think they can't do. They're already playing with house money. Doc, we were happy after 7 wins. We were happy after 7 wins. When they got 9, they got 10, then they clinched the playoffs, and then they won the division. Bro, it was over then. And then they won a playoff game. So the pressure that most folks think would be on a young team like this is not there. It's definitely not there from the city. So if CJ just stays within himself, they follow the game plan offensively and defensively and do what Coach Ryan implements as a game plan, I think they got a good shot. I'm not saying they're going to win. I definitely don't expect a 45-14 or something crazy like that. I just think they got a real good chance to be competitive, and they might shock everybody.
Now, one guy I would say they'd have to make sure to account for if they're going to shock everybody, that would be Mr. Roquan Smith. Now, Roquan Smith has been everywhere. He is definitely the lieutenant, the general, the captain, whatever the highest rank you want to call him. He has been that for the Baltimore Ravens defense. And, of course, he can affect you in the run game, but he can also affect you in the passing game. He can get out there and make some plays there too. So what do you think the Texans have to do to kind of account for him on the field?
Yeah, they've got to find creative ways because they're going to move him around. They're not going to leave him on one side or the other. They're going to move him around. They've got to know where he is at all times. They've got to account for him. But some of what we've already talked about can make the difference. If they can get some mismatches on those agile tight ends that can get down the field and make him have to use himself as in coverage, that can help, man. And I like Roquan Smith. He's got a game on him, but I also like what the Texans put out there as tight ends. And then the other part is they got to run the ball. The Texans have got to be able to run the ball and make him consider the run and not just come, as a pass rusher against CJ Stroud from wherever he's lined up.
Right. Another guy you got to account for and know where he is Kyle Hamilton. He can be rushing the passer. He can be lined up in the slot, safety, nickel linebacker, you name it. He has done it for the Baltimore Ravens and then some to kind of make this defense what they are. I mean, what can you say just about the versatile player that he is, and then also what you have to do to kind of account for him every single play?
I mean, seriously, I could say the same thing. Most teams have one of those guys. The Ravens have 2. And like I said, once you account for one, you got to find personnel dedicated to account for him. So really, you're going to need a team effort. You're going to need that entire offensive line to play their best game. You're going to need running backs to pick up blitzes. You're going to need them to help with chips and stuff before they get out. Because again, Baltimore has 2 dudes that can literally take over the game from that side of the ball. And oh yeah, by the way, we haven't even talked about Patrick Queen yet. We haven't even talked about him. And he's got the ability to do that too. I think that if it wasn't for those 2 guys, we would probably be talking more about him. So again, the Texans have got to play close to flawless offensive football to have a chance in this one.
And another thing about Kyle Hamilton, he can definitely operate in space too, covering people. So that's another thing that he can do, which kind of makes him and takes him to another level. And reason why I think he's one of the if not the best, one of the best safeties in football, he's definitely up there.
Yeah. To me. And again, man, you got to know where he is. You got to know where he is. You got to know when he's in the box. You got to know where he is, and you got to account for that. I give a lot of credit to John Harbaugh, man. Literally, he almost stepped away. You remember at the beginning of this season, end of last season, he was in doubt. He was in question. He was in turmoil. They made some changes, and this man has been rejuvenated. He's put his team together. He's got some studs. He's got some players. He's got some guys that can hit you hard. And that's what I've said in our sports updates here locally. It's one thing to replicate the weather, but you can't replicate how these guys hit you in that weather. They hit you to make you feel it. And the Texans have to match that, man. They got to step up to that. They got to get back up, and they got to keep playing.
Right. As far as hitting people where they, hitting people in the mouth and things like that, this defense is going to be trying to hit a particular quarterback in the mouth, but this quarterback is a magician in the pocket. He is a guy that you never can really get a solid shot on, and that'd be Lamar Jackson. Now, if you shadow him, then he can beat you with his legs or passing. Even if you don't shadow him, he can still beat you with his legs or passing. But the great thing that he's done this year is he's able, when he escapes the pocket, he's actually keeping his head up to actually look for players down the field, which I think that in the Todd Monken offense, that has kind of been accentuated more. He's more Louisville Lamar than he is the Baltimore Ravens Lamar that he was under Greg Roman, which, I've said over and over again. Great running game guy, terrible pass game guy. Yeah. So, definitely, what can you just say about Lamar and just his play this year? And also, what things can you, think that the Texans can do to kind of, try to throw him off his game or make him think a little bit more back there?
Yeah. First of all, what you just said is why I rock with you. It's why I call you brilliant, because a lot of folks don't look at the difference between Lamar Jackson when he was at Louisville and the Lamar Jackson that we see now under Monken, because there's a difference. It's almost like three different Lamars, if you will. And they're getting him back close to the Lamar Jackson in Louisville, where he was just cooking, where he was just eating. He was just doing it all. To say that, I say this. They've got to find some wrinkles, man. They just can't zone cover him. They can't just spy him. I mean, he sees that week in and week out. It's almost like they have to go old Bill Belichick defensively. And I hate to say that because, man, this team has tried to imitate whatever they were doing in New England from a front office to a player to a coaching standpoint. They've got to find a way to take something away from Lamar that he does not even know he needs until he can't have it, and then make him get a little bit uncomfortable and try to do too much. When Lamar gets in trouble, he's trying to do too much. And if they can find a way to do that, again, they got a good shot. If they can't, if they let Lamar get comfortable under what he and Monken have put together, it could be a long day.
Yeah, and speaking of what he and Monken have put together, you've definitely got to give it up to the executives for the Baltimore Ravens for putting together the pieces around him. You have, of course, the rookie wide receiver from Boston College. His name is kind of escaping me right now for some reason. Then you have Odell Beckham. You have Mark Andrews that's probably going to be back in this game. Isaiah Likely.
All indications are that Andrews is going to be back this week. He is literally saying he's going to play.
Right. Zay Flowers is his name.
Zay, right. Yep.
So, yeah, they have all these different pieces. You can't guard all of them. Somebody's going to get open. So, I mean, what is the game plan in terms of who do you take away in this offense?
Again, don't know. Don't know, because like you said, it's a multi-pronged attack, but I think it's got to start with getting to Lamar as quickly as possible. Whether you get him on the ground or not, make him make a decision. Don't give him a chance to have multiple reads. Don't give him a chance to run around back there and be a playmaker. So that's where the Will Anderson Jr.'s, that's where, some of the other guys who get pressure on the ball from the Texans side, they got to get there quickly. And they got to get there smartly, because if you get there too fast, Lamar can get where you just were and make some things happen behind you. So, D'Amico is going to have to coach one of his best defensive games, because he's still the defensive play caller. He's going to have to coach one of his best games. But like I said, it's that one thing. You don't even realize they're trying to take it away until you look at the stats after the game and say, dang, they weren't able to do this, and they normally are able to do that comfortably.
Right. Now, I definitely am looking forward to this game. I'm looking forward to the chess moves. I'm looking forward to just the spectacular plays that are made because you do have two of the best quarterbacks in the NFL and
Yeah.
two African American quarterbacks in the
Yeah.
NFL, and that's two pluses for me in my book.
Same here.
So, I'm definitely going to be interested to see how this all shakes out. We're going to take a quick commercial break, and when we come back from commercial break, we do have a game. It's 5 questions, 2 answers, and 1 choice on Touring the AFC South with your host, Mike Patton.
A shift. A shift is something that happens and changes the dynamics. And that's what happened when Garrett Logistics was born. After 10 years as a sales pro in the logistics world of sporting goods, John Garrett decided to pivot to the world of freight and start a brokerage. So you're saying to yourself, why trust Garrett Logistics? Well, Garrett Logistics helps shippers improve overall workflow, along with increased on-time pickup and delivery percentages. Last-minute loads, multi-drop pickups, and more are part of the services with Garrett Logistics. They're available Monday through Friday, 7 a.m. to 6 p.m., and Saturday, 8 a.m. to 12 p.m., all times Central Standard Time. So give them a ring at 615-400-8484. That's 615-400-8484, or you can email them at john@garrettlogistics.co or visit their website at garrettlogistics.co. Garrett Logistics, where the motto is, it's not just freight to us, it's your business.
All right, like I said before the commercial break, we have reached the end of the show, but we have not reached the conclusion, which that means that it's time to play a game. 5 questions, 2 answers, 1 choice. AJ Jones, are you ready?
I am ready.
All right, first question. The beach or the pool? Which one would you choose first in the summertime?
Pool.
The pool. All right. I thought you might say the beach there, something like that.
Now I'm a pool dude.
All right. Okay. Now I'm gonna make you pick between 2 wide receivers. I think I know who you're gonna pick, but
Okay.
Andre Johnson or DeAndre Hopkins, which receiver are you taking?
Andre Johnson came first, bro. Yeah.
All right. That's Beats by Dre to me. That's what I call him. I always call him Beats by Dre. But all right, we're gonna talk about a little music. We're gonna go a little old school music. You got one category, you got one catalog you can keep, the other catalog you have to throw away. That'd be Stevie Wonder or Michael Jackson. Which catalog are you throwing away?
Oh, wait a minute, hold on. I gotta throw it away? Can I just put it over on the side? I mean, I can't throw either of those away. Let me say it's gotta be Michael, but God, I love Steve. I grew up on Songs of the Key of Life, man. Come on, bro. I can't throw the catalog away. Come on, man. Don't make me do that. Don't make me do that. I'll keep Michael.
Okay. All right. Okay. Next one up. 49ers or the field? Which one are you taking to win the NFC?
Field.
The field. Okay.
Yeah.
All right. All right. Now, the last question I got for you, I'm going to make you pick again in some musical geniuses. We've got Teddy Pendergrass or we got Curtis Mayfield. Which one? You got to keep one of them and throw away the whole rest of the category or the catalog.
And people are going to be mad at me for saying this, but I'm going Curtis Mayfield because a lot of folks don't realize the social justice stuff that he wove into his music, and he was true to it. So I'm with everything we see right now, Curtis.
Oh, I would have picked Curtis too because Curtis never made a bad song. Teddy didn't either, but Curtis had a longer history of not making bad songs, in my opinion. The only thing that stopped him was health and, of course, his untimely passing. That's the only thing that stopped him. All right, that's 5 questions, 2 answers, and 1 choice. AJ Jones, you're off the hot seat. We have reached the end of the show. I want to thank you for coming on, talking about the Houston Texans as they get prepared to take on the Baltimore Ravens this weekend. If you can, tell everyone where they can find you, where they can find your show, where they can find anything that you're working on, whether it be in sports or out of sports. The floor is yours.
Hey, man, I appreciate having me on, Mike. I tell you, again, you're a genius, man. I love what you do. I love how you're doing. I love the levels I'm seeing, bro, because you are limitless in your work and your ability. Hey, you can find me every Monday through Friday on the Lunch Break Sports Talk Show. I'm on from 12 to 12:30. Tuesdays and Wednesdays myself. On Thursdays, you got Chris Gardner, Houston Roundball Review. He's on from 12 to 1. Friday, you got the Johnny Cole's HBCU Stroll. And then on Mondays, we now have the HBCU Coaches Corner with Johnny Cole and Rocky Miller. It's a great show. They always have great guests. And then, man, I'm just grateful my production company, Jones Media and Entertainment, had a script that was selected by a movie showcase called The Cinematic Affair. So we'll be releasing our first movie, producing and releasing our first movie coming up in the June, July timeframe. We just had our first casting call. We're doing our callbacks in the next few days, few weeks, and then, man, we go into production. So I'm really excited about that. And just good things happening, man. Just glad to be a part of what's going on in 2024.
Well, that sounds like you got a lot going on, and I'm very, very interested in the cinematic universe that you're kind of creating. You know, who knows? You could start something and connect the play to this play and this script to this script, and you never know.
Mike, let me just say this: your name has come up in rooms that you didn't even know you were in. So stand by.
Well, I will definitely. I do have a few things, kind of out there, I will say. But of course, as for those that know me here, you can find me on the artist formerly known as Twitter at MikePadden82. That's MikePadton82. The artist formerly known as Twitter. That's always an ode to the incomparable Prince. Now, as far as Instagram and Threads, you can find me on there at that's THA, not THE. _general_MP. Of course, you can find Tour in the AFC South on all listening platforms, whether it be Spotify, Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, iHeartRadio, Amazon Music, you name it, we are there. Also, you can find us on YouTube if you'd like to view the show. I want to thank everyone for tuning in to this episode of Tour in the AFC South with your host, Mike Padden. We're out. Peace.